Thank you, Professor Goldenberg. I'd also like to thank Professor Swani, who I've worked with and who was instrumental for my coming here. I'd like to thank the government officials, the secretary who made a very good presentation this morning, all the presenters, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Stephen Mutimba, and I'll be presenting a short presentation. I hope it's going to be short. And this is about some of the experiences and activities that we've been carrying out in Kenya. I've called it a roadmap to biofuel development in Kenya because indeed it's a roadmap. It's a proposal on how we want to go forward. But firstly, next slide, please. Next slide, yeah. Firstly, just about the company I work for. The company I work for used to be called Energy for Sustainable Development. We changed our name. We call ourselves CAMCO these days. Okay, all right. We call our company CAMCO these days. We've been in Africa for the last 20 years. We're about 150 staff in 18 offices across Europe, and we also have offices in Nairobi, Dar es Salaam, and Johannesburg. We also work very closely with a network of regional partners in Rwanda, Ethiopia, Zambia, Uganda, Mozambique, among others. That's just about the company. As a company, we've worked in three main areas as far as biofuel is concerned. Since 2007, we've been involved in a project called Mapping Biofuel Policies in Africa, and this has been with the Forum for Agricultural Research, which is based in West Africa. We've also been very much involved in the design of biofuel system for private sector who are interested to replace petroleum and coal with biomass which is sustainable and which is carbon neutral. And this is where our company brings in their specialty expertise in carbon development. We've also been involved in this project called Kenya Roadmap to Bioethanol Production, and I'll be discussing briefly about it. Just some background to Kenya energy scenario, supply scenario. When you look at Kenya, you find that 68% of energy comes from biomass, and 23 from petroleum, and 9% from electricity. There's a very high dependency on sustainable renewable energy, which forms about 74% of total primary energy. And traditional biomass is still very, very big, and there's very high dependency on that. When you look at the bottom slide, pie chart, you find that in electricity, hydro and fossil fuel forms the biggest proportion of electricity, and geothermal follows. There's very little electricity from renewable energy sources. In terms of the policies, we have an energy policy which provides the framework for development. Its objective is to ensure that there's adequate, cost-effective, and affordable energy to meet development needs while protecting the environment. And we have 8 functioning sugar factories with a crushing capacity of about 24,000 TCD. And sugar production is still small, 600,000 million tons. Consumption is over 800 million tons. So we have a deficit of about 200,000 million tons. And over 5 million people depend on the sugar sector. So that's just a background so that those who are interested to come to Kenya can understand what's going on. In the next section, I just want to give a brief overview of a project which we were involved in. The Ministry of Agriculture, working with a development partner, that is the German government, involved us in a small research project, and we developed a paper or a report about the Kenya roadmap to development of bioethanol. This was in 2008, 2009. just some background is that Kenya has produced ethanol since the early 80s and even blended it with petrol as part of the now defunct gas oil program. The program is not working. The program was abandoned 20 years ago. But we have a few industries which are still producing ethanol, and that's the agrochemicals and Spectre International. They have combined production capacities of about 125,000 liters per day, and this is just for industrial use. We have been mostly involved in this program as a company because of the greenhouse gas emission reductions. And one of the most common greenhouse gas, that is CO2, it can help mitigate climate change by reducing emission from fossil fuel. That is if we develop the ethanol production, and that has been our interest as a company. There have been a lot of studies about the greenhouse gas emission reduction potential of biofuel, and some of them say you can save up to 61% compared with conventional diesel. Others say corn-based ethanol reduces greenhouse by 12 to 13% compared with petrol. But what we've been interested is the evaluation of climate benefit of biofuel, and this can be commoditized and sold as carbon credits through the CDM. So far, our company was involved in one of the CDM projects with the sugar cogeneration in Kenya, which was the first project to be registered in Kenya. So if you look at this, the carbon angle alone, and you look at the cogeneration potential of the sugar factories that we have, you'll find that it makes economic sense to come and get involved with sugar production, with ethanol production, and of course with cogeneration, as given that you can also get CDM as one of the streams of which can produce money. The challenges that we faced in ethanol production in Kenya is that the infrastructure has crumbled. There's of course land competition with food production, but this one depends on how you design your project. There's also a lack of practical research on alternative feedstocks such as feed sorghum. There's also a lack of efficient method of production. So based on those challenges, we came up with a vision, and in East Africa, Kenya is always referred as one of the countries that you can work in as far as business is concerned. And we were trying to make Kenya a biofuel powerhouse of East Africa and beyond. And the target was to within 5 years, to blend 10% ethanol and 2% biodiesel, plus provide surplus production for stationary power and export. And we wanted to produce 93 million liters of ethanol and 32 million liters of biodiesel. So what this study does is that it just gives some of the things that you need to do. And what we are saying is that this will produce close to 1,000 new non-farm jobs at production plants, blending facilities, and for transport. It will also produce thousands of new farm jobs. And at $100 per barrel of oil, Kenya will save about $100 million in foreign exchange from flowing out of the country if it produced 10% of its petrol and 2% of its diesel from biofuels. So we've gone ahead and talked about the feedstock, which is, as far as ethanol is concerned, we've talked about using sorghum and using sugarcane, and then as 10,000 of new land is needed, and about 64,000 hectares of suitable new land is also needed. We've looked at the feedstock for biodiesel as well. I know Jatropha has been one of those feedstock, but we've been looking at croton and castor as some of the feedstocks. We've also looked, this table just summarizes the feedstock that we are thinking about. We've looked at the regulatory frameworks, and that is what the government needs to do. First of all, to come up with a target or a goal for ethanol and biodiesel. The Kenya Bureau of Standards to come up with a blending ratio, to also give priority feedstocks. We've also talked about licensing and all the licensing that are required. That is for anybody who will be interested to work in Kenya. These are some of the licensing requirements. And we've also talked about the incentives. And some of the incentives include fuel taxes. Ethanol, which has about 2/3 the energy of petrol, should have no more than 2/3 the tax. We've also talked about the seed taxes, the equipment import taxes, and we've also talked about the sustainability of using bioethanol. So just to, because I don't want to take a lot of time, we've done also a summary of biofuel activities and implications, and we've looked at all those issues, and this paper will be around for people to have a look, and I just don't want to go into them. So in short, what we are saying is that the Kenya private sector welcomes Brazil partnership in bioenergy development. There are challenges, but this can be overcome because Brazil development model has a strong social face, which I find very important. And this social face should be the hallmark of South-South cooperation, something that we are trying to ensure that it works. Because just listening to all the presentations that we've had here since yesterday, I think Brazil is very way ahead. It has a lot to offer other developing countries, especially Africa. And I think Brazil industry should not shy away from coming to Africa, because the others who are in Africa, they are working. It starts small, but it eventually builds up. It's an area that has a lot of future potential, despite the challenges that we face now. So thank you very much. I just wanted to share with you one of the things that we're doing in Kenya. Thank you, and God bless you.